Greetings, friends. This is Jesse here, and we're going to continue our reading with the Grand Design Exposed. And this is going to be section 2, but we're going to do something a little bit different since these sections are very short. And what we're going to do is we're going to cover 4 of them. And these sections are basically the first one, or the second one of the chapter is called Catholic Rome, occult seat of sun worship. We looked at pagan Rome. Now we're going to look at Catholic Rome. We're going to look at the Mass. Very short, easy, brief synopsis of the Mass. We're going to look at the sun wheel and the phallic obelisk and the dome. Okay, all of these are just a very simple exposure, if you will, of these things that are connected to the Roman Catholic Church. And we will be capping off chapter 3 probably tomorrow. And then we'll be starting in chapter 4. So let's go ahead and get started with Catholic Rome, occult seat of sun worship. Anyone with eyes to see, and who is not blinded by religion, certainly must recognize papal Rome as the disguised offspring of pagan Rome, or paganism baptized with the name Christianity. In light of scriptural teaching, sincere men like John Wycliffe, Savonarola, Martin Luther, and thousands of others were willing to give their lives for God's truth, and most did. The Church of Rome makes pure mockery of everything that is sacred, pure, and the truth. Claiming to be Christian, it has, in clinging tenaciously to its possession of the title Pontifex Maximus, which was a title that was attributed to the Caesars in pagan Rome, who sits at the Vatican, and its preoccupation with the revival of Roman ascendancy on earth as the kingdom of heaven has become just a continuation of Roman paganism, with even greater atrocities using the faith and needs of simple men to forward its schemes. Let's review just a few of the core items carried over from paganism to the Church of Rome that Protestants fearlessly gave their lives to oppose. Syncretism is a word meaning the mingling into one religious system elements that have been drawn from different other religious systems. As a smokescreen, this is exactly what the Church of Rome has done in calling herself Christian. Most will ask, is it really that important? What difference does it honestly make? The reader must be reminded that God calls this mixing of false religions with His truth as something He hates, an abomination. And for proof of that, you can read Deuteronomy 12:28 through 32 and 18:9 through 12. It is startling to learn of God's stern denunciation and warnings against this mixing, but even more amazing is the attitude of those who claim to be teachers of God's Word, who shrug these poisons off as perfectly harmless. Okay, so basically, in just simple form, when you look at Catholic Rome, it is simply a rehashed pagan Rome, but covered in a garb of Christianity. Okay, that's basically what it is. Constantine got the ball rolling in that court, and the papacy evolutionized it. So now let's go ahead and look at the Mass. True Christianity teaches that when the Messiah, Jesus Christ, had come and fulfilled His mission and given Himself as the final sacrifice to ransom the world from sin, that by His death, but much more important, by His resurrection, which certified His sinless life, this supernatural event proved that Christ's ministry was fully approved by God the Father. Thus the whole Hebrew system of priests and sacrifices which God had originally given to them to be a type and figure of the coming Messiah's death was to be abolished at His death. But the underlying and basic teaching of the Church of Rome is its hierarchy of supreme pontiff or pope, its various orders of priests and nuns, and the endless sacrificial ceremony of Christ called the Mass. God says the priest and sacrificial system ended at the death of Christ. Rome says no and sets them up. Through the Mass and the capture of superstitious minds, and only in the name of religion, Catholics are taught to believe that a wafer and wine is turned into the literal body and blood of Christ. But carrying this absurdity a bit further, it is then required for the believers to participate in an act of cannibalism after the wafer has been turned to flesh, to eat that flesh, so to speak, as the flesh of the victim of sacrifice, whose flesh it is believed to be Christ's. See, the reason why it's like a figurative cannibalism of sorts is because these priests supposedly have the power to change the literal wafer and wine into the literal body and blood of Christ. They don't see it as a memorial. They don't see it as figurative. Remove these two Romish false doctrines, the priesthood and the sacrificial mass, and there is no Roman church. But that is only the beginning. We also have the sun wheel. The Vatican and its supreme pontiff of the sun, titled Pontifex Maximus, has been previously mentioned. To see another sun symbol of the occult at the Vatican, one only needs an aerial view of St. Peter's courtyard, and in the pavement you will notice what is known as a double cross. You can see that in the picture that I posted that is dedicated to this chapter. Or the largest sun wheel in the world. Double cross, or the largest sun wheel in the world. Anciently, it was taught that the supreme sun god drives a chariot drawn by four steeds that traversed each day in the spaces of the firmament and sank at dusk, extinguishing its fires in the ocean. The nation of Israel was caught up in this sun worship, and during a period of reform it is recorded how they put down those that burned incense unto Baal, to the sun, and to the moon, and to the planets, and to all the host of heaven, and took away the houses that the kings of Judah had given to the sun, and burned the chariots of the sun with fire. You can read about that in 2 Kings 23, verse 5 and 11. Chariots, and especially the wheels of the chariots, were representative of the sun. The wheel and its spokes actually became a cross within a circle, which is one of the most ancient symbols of the sun. The circle and the cross within the circle represents the four extreme points of the sun in relation to the earth and its yearly travel around the sun. I'm going to digress a little bit. He doesn't have... John Daniel doesn't really have the understanding of the aspect of the sun. Actually, it's kind of reversed, because even the Bible proves that the sun moves and the earth is fixed. Okay? So I just wanted to digress there. Those 4 points are the two solstices occurring at the 21st of June, making the longest day during the year, and the 21st of December, making the shortest day of the year, and the two equinoxes occurring in the spring, and the 21st or 20th or the 22nd of March, and autumn, which is the 21st of September, making night and day of equal length all over the earth. Hitler's regime was deep into the occult, and his swastika is nothing more than a sun symbol of a cross, with the segments of the circle broken, and with right angles made at the ends of the cross. The Hindu religion, 1,000 years before Christ, had the swastika symbol of the sun. So that's your brief background of the sun wheel, or the solar wheel. And this is embodied within Catholicism. So now let's have a brief overview of the phallic obelisk and dome. Again, from your aerial vantage point over the Vatican courtyard, you will also see rising from the center or hub of this sun wheel, in its erect position, a symbol of the occult and sun worship that is highly regarded for its sacred importance. This particular sun symbol was literally uprooted from Egypt and transplanted in Rome. as others were taken to the cities of London, Paris, Constantinople, and Central Park, New York. Its numerous look-alikes are popularly used as monuments and memorials for great men, or actually any man that wants to be remembered. A casual walk through any graveyard will vividly show you this. But just what is the significance of this sun symbol? This stone monument, or obelisk as it is called, especially in certain places where it stands erect before a dome. First, it must be noted that even though the obelisk has been publicly displayed in the most obvious and conspicuous places to be seen, yet in any dictionary or regular encyclopedia the subject obelisk and its full meaning is just never explained. Only in specialized books and literature do you find its true symbolic significance and what it meant to those who worship the sun. In other words, the obelisk symbol has been purposely displayed for public awareness, but at the same time, its real meaning has been kept from us, or at the least kept out of those reference books where most would normally look. However, the Encyclopedia Americana 1964 edition, showing how the obelisk was related to sun worship, explains it like this. Quote, "A monument representing the sun in ancient Egyptian religion. The Egyptians were sun worshippers, regarding the great luminary as the creator of the universe, the maker of all gods above and below, and even the author of himself. The two most striking characteristic monuments which represented him on earth were the obelisk and the pyramid. The obelisk is the technical figure of one ray or pencil of light emanating from the sun. The word obelisk actually means the shaft of Bel. Bel being another way of writing Baal or Baal, the Babylonian and Egyptian sun god that all nations followed after. It is an interesting fact that the chief temples of Egypt and Babylonia, that they were oriented, that is to say, that the temples were built so that the shrine and entrance always faced in the same direction. On one morning in the year and one morning alone, in a temple oriented to the rising place of the sun at midsummer day, the sun's first rays would smite down through the gloom of the temple and down the long alley of the temple pillars, to brilliantly illuminate the altar. Thus it was believed that by the pencil of light, or shaft, of the sun's presence upon the altar, it became impregnated." So in other words, this Baal's shaft is basically the male's pubic region. Baal's shaft, in other words, in today's words, would be basically Baal's penis. That's essentially what it is. And this is, rooted in sun worship. This is sun worship, and the Catholic Church recognizes these symbols. So, even though it appears holy and upright in the open, behind the scenes, it is the occult seat of sun worship. This event gave assurance of fertility in the land and another fruitful year. But as further evidence that gives proof that Roman Catholicism is nothing more than disguised sun worship that actually arose from the ruins of Roman paganism, consider the fact that the Vatican of today, as St. Peter's Basilica, is literally built right over the very grounds of the ancient Vatican Circus. It was here that they held their chariot races to the sun. And as then, so today, St. Peter's is oriented toward the east. That is, quote, so that at the vernal equinox the great doors can be thrown open at sunrise, and the sun rays passing through the nave will illuminate the high altar. By pagan tradition, an altar symbolized the female body, which in turn symbolized, quote-unquote, Mother Earth. It does not take any great imagination to understand the symbolism of an obelisk standing before a dome, which represents a pregnant woman's belly. Ask yourself with deep soul searching, what does any of this have to do with true Christianity? Today's worldwide participation in observing calendar dates that have come down to us from ancient Babylonian sun worship tells only too well the influence this system has had upon mankind. Most people today observe these dates as Christian holy days and festivities, when in reality the dates themselves have nothing whatever to do with Christianity. Christmas and Easter both are good examples of how these sun dates have been twisted and perverted to be recognized as something that is Christian, yet any good encyclopedia will quickly inform you of their true origin. So there you have it. I mean, that's going to conclude this video. And and again, for those that really research these symbols and these types of things, already know what this is. But to those that haven't really understood it or read about it, obviously I'm going to be putting the book references from these sections into the description box, so you can go and look these things up for yourself. But overall, this was just a very simplified version of how easy it is to discern the question of how can Roman Catholicism, the Roman Catholic Church, be true Christianity, when in fact it is promoting and erecting certain relics and symbols that is directly connected to sun worship. Okay. Let me just give you a very small example. You have sun worship, S-U-N, and you have sun worship, S-O-N. Okay, we worship Jesus Christ, who was God manifest in the flesh. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He is the Son of God, S-O-N. Okay? They worship the Son, S-U-N. So there's the subtle difference there. Okay? So, I mean, just look at it in that simplified version, and this is very easy that a child could understand it. It really is. And again, and I'm not knocking anybody that goes into really deep studies about these symbols, but sometimes some people just need a very simplified version of it. And this is what these sections basically provided you. Now, in the next section, we're going to go over the Babylonian mystery religion. It's only about a page and a half long, and it's going to go over some of the dates that we recognize as Christmas and Easter, and some of these other dates and these types of things. But yeah, I mean, if you want to go and look at pagan Rome a little more deeper, look up the Vatican Circus, because that is where the Vatican is built over, and see what that was all about. So, thank you for listening. Truth be told, truth be known. I hope this section was was put out in a very simplified way, so some people can just understand it like a child would. And until next time we meet again, take care and God bless.